the resistance that happened wasn't something planned. Like everybody was really looking forward to New South Africa and the privileges and the stuff that comes with it. But on this particular day, when this family was evicted, there was actually a plan to evict almost 17 other families in the very same community. And yeah, that is when myself, as an individual in the community, got involved in the situation, because I can remember the person that was being evicted. You know, post 1994, I was unemployed, and I volunteered, or I recommended my services for free to matriculants, and you know, grade 10 to grade 12, like helping them with English, mathematics, and you know, the sort of complicated school, because we also have outcome-based education, like the American does. So people were finding it difficult to, you know, to get to grips with it. So I volunteered my services, and the person that's being evicted was one of my students. But so then I got involved in that context. Nevertheless, on the day when they were evicted, the sheriff of the court with about 30 casual laborers, because the sheriff would employ people standing on the corner, looking and waiting for work. They would employ them, and at that time in 2000, they were receiving 25 Rand per day. So if you would help the sheriff, you would get 25 Rand for helping him that particular day. Because tomorrow you won't have that same job, right? Nevertheless, they were evicted, and when we gathered them as a community in support, we found that there's no... The problem was that I was involved in a media, in a desktop publishing company when the Constitution was being written, and Typeface Media, the desktop publishing company that I was working for, was actually responsible for writing up the Constitution in its raw form and also doing so I was very familiar with the Constitution, and that is what created the problem for myself. But nevertheless, on the day, I asked the gentleman to please put his hand in my pocket, because I know he couldn't read. I knew that as a fact. I knew that he couldn't read. I knew he was referring to inches, and I know you use that in America, but in South Africa that's old style. We use millimeters and centimeters and so on. But he would still talk in this way because of his knowledge. He's an old man, and he's referring to old things. What we did on the day was actually became our mark as the Western Cape Anti-Eviction Campaign. Because what we did immediately is we physically removed the bailiff or the sheriff of the court, the employees that he brought. We physically moved them from the house, and we reinstated the furniture and the family. But when we did this, we were confronted not with the South African Police Services local branch of the police services, but also their dog unit, their law enforcement agent. Look, there's about 4 different law enforcement agents. That is only police, and then you get the army, and then you get, you know, pure. But so everybody arrived, and they warned us that you have to leave now. We're giving you 5 minutes to disperse, and in 2 minutes they started shooting, and so they eventually got the persons evicted. They injured about 17 people. I was physically assaulted together with others. Yeah, my teeth was removed by a boot by policemen. I was bitten by dogs on my back and my arms, and I was arrested. And all this happened at 10 o'clock in the morning. But we were only taken to the police station at about 2 o'clock the afternoon. Because my mother, who lives in the road obviously, she came to my assistance, and she jumped on me and laid on me, and she got a heart attack. So they didn't want to remove anybody until they were sure that my mother was doing fine. So eventually at about 2 o'clock we were taken to the police station. We weren't charged. I was bloodied, and in South Africa you're not allowed to go into a prison cell, or you're not allowed to go into jail if you have open wounds. Nevertheless, I was taken into the cell and stayed there for about 2 hours, and only because a family member of mine insisted that I was assaulted and that she didn't see me at hospital where she was waiting, that I was taken with about 6 different policemen under police guard. I was taken to the hospital and then looked at, stitched up and all that, and taken back into the prison cell. That evening at about 11 o'clock, about 7,500 or just more than 7,000 community members marched from our community, which is about a 15-minute walk from the police station. They marched to the police station, occupied it for about an hour, and the police were forced to release the 6 people that was arrested on the way. And that is actually where things really got started. With Western Cape, it wasn't all this nice things that you see, you know. It was a spontaneous reaction by communities in response to the result of global neoliberalism. And we didn't know that at the time, I must point it out. We were thinking we need water, we need a roof over our head, our children need education. We weren't thinking about the global context of the problems that we were facing. From that day, we had community gatherings. I won't say it's meeting because we never ever called them meeting. Communities just gathered. On the day of the eviction, on the 18th of October of 2000, our community has about, in our immediate community, we have about 5 gangs, and in the wider community, we have about 17 gangs. But on this day, these gangs, or gangsters as they are known, they were able to come together to protect the families that were being evicted. Because on the 18th of October, while we were in prison, the 6 that was arrested, the community, because at that one eviction, everybody realized that they are going to be next, or they were thinking that they would be next. And then there was an impromptu resolution that said, we will not be evicted, we will protect ourselves. So the next day, when I was, the following day, we went into our community, we marched around looking for police, looking for sheriffs. We just generally marched around. And we came up with a song. And it's in Afrikaans, it's a 2-line thing. It says, the council sit 8 and ons sit 1. It just says, the state evicts you and we return you. So that was just, we were chanting it through the streets and so on. So people would call us. The gangsters would hang out on the corners. They would be our sentinels. They would call us when they see a police vehicle. They would report to the street committees. Look, there's a police van in that road, there's a sheriff in the, they were on the lookout all the time. So it effectively stopped the gang war. And just a week before that, there was about 7 people killed just in 1 week because of the gang war that was happening. And we effectively stopped it. And until today, there is no gang war. In our community, there is, however, a lot of drugs and different things. So the gangs even collaborate with each other in selling this different drugs that is available.